Pirlo won't walk. The Champions League race intensifies. Pochettino is returning to Spurs. A transfer roundup and today's Emoji Mondays all coming up in the next few minutes as I am your host, Matt Froelich. You are the One Footballers and this is the Daily News. So first off, and Andrea Pirlo has said he will not walk away from his job at Juventus, but has said that he will take full responsibility for what's currently going on at the club. And in case you aren't aware, the club are struggling to make it into the Champions League for next season. Now, of course, this isn't exactly great when you're trying to hold on to top players like Cristiano Ronaldo who want to play in the top competition, but financially, there has been so much worry around the club that they said they're going to have to sell a few players. So not making it into the Champions League and all the hundreds of millions that comes with making it there isn't exactly ideal for the side. Now, of course, with so much domination in Serie A over the last few seasons, you would have thought, even though they're appointing a rookie manager like Andrea Pirlo, they still would have at least made it to the top four. Like, fair enough, in his first season, I don't know, maybe he couldn't quite sustain a title challenge. Antonio Conte's experienced in Serie A. Inter Milan have got a very good squad. Maybe, just maybe, they would have come second, at worst third. But finishing outside the top four, that is an absolute nightmare. And as Angelina spoke about on Friday, the replacement could be Zinedine Zidane. Now, he's not necessarily going to walk from Real Madrid, but if Juventus do take the plunge and get rid of Andrea Pirlo, he is a club legend at Juve, and I'm pretty certain that this is realistically the only place he's going to go. Thinking of Zinedine Zidane anywhere else but in the Real Madrid dugout, certainly as a manager, seems to be unthinkable. But if there was one team, I would say Juventus. I can't see him moving to anywhere in France aside from PSG, and that's not really going to happen at the moment. I can't see him going to anywhere else in La Liga or anywhere in the Bundesliga. It doesn't necessarily know that division too well. And when it comes to the Premier League, I'm not sure there's a managerial opening for him at the moment, unless for some reason he wants to take over the job at Spurs. So that would leave the Juventus job. Like I mentioned before, he's a legend of the club, knows it very well, and given his track record at Real Madrid, if you take Eden Hazard's ridiculous transfer fee aside, he hasn't exactly spent too much or consistently changed the members of his squad, and that looks to be something that Juventus are going to have to do this summer. Like I mentioned, if they don't make it to the Champions League, don't make that money, then this is obviously hypothetical, if Zidane comes in, he won't have too many funds available to go ahead and change many members of the squad, and that really seems to suit him. I mean, look at all those Champions League finals that he won with Real Madrid. They literally had the same starting lineup for 3 years in a row, bar one player. I think that swap was Isco for Bale, and yeah, that was it. As for his Real Madrid side this weekend, they only managed a 2-2 draw in the last minute against Sevilla, which not only did it stop Real Madrid from going to the top of the table, but it pretty much ended the hopes of Sevilla pulling off the absolute dream and winning La Liga. They're 6 points behind Atletico Madrid after their 0-0 draw with Barcelona on Saturday, and with just 9 points to play for, it looks like, unfortunately, Sevilla will not be winning the title. I say unfortunately for them and the rest of La Liga, who just wanted to see someone else win it aside from the big three. Now, yes, Manchester City did not win the title this weekend after their 2-1 home loss to Chelsea, and we'll come on to Sergio Aguero's penalty in just a few minutes. But the real race is for the top four, and what a weekend it was. So moving down the list, Chelsea, what a win. They're sitting in third position, a fantastic victory and a rehearsal for the Champions League final. If you were to look at the favourites, Chelsea have been quite underdogs in the Champions League this season, and they've proven everybody wrong. So don't assume that they won't go ahead and win the Champions League final altogether. Manchester City probably have the squad and the power within their squad and the depth to probably be named favourites for the Champions League final, but after this performance, in my opinion, Chelsea are probably favourites right now. Anyway, they sit in third, Leicester sit in fourth, and for God's sakes, Leicester can't bottle it again, surely. Last season after that break because of the COVID pandemic, they came back and had an absolute nightmare, fell out the top four. This season, well, they lost 4-2 at home to Newcastle on Friday night. I believe they've got Manchester City, Chelsea and Tottenham as their last 3 fixtures. Brendan Rodgers may be worried ever so slightly. Outside of them, Liverpool were back in the conversation for the top four after a victory over Southampton. And the fact that Sadio Mane and Mo Salah combined for the first time for a goal this season is absolutely astonishing, but don't forget about Liverpool just yet. Elsewhere, there's West Ham. They have also lost over the weekend to Everton, who are in with a ridiculously outside shout of making the top four. They're so far behind, but the reason I'm saying they're still with a chance is because they've got 1 game extra to play on the rest of the teams around them. 12 points to play for. It looks like it might be very, very difficult. And as for Spurs, a 3-1 loss against Leeds at Saturday lunchtime pretty much put an end to their race for the top four. It's going to be very unlikely, but somehow if they manage to win their last 2 games, they might just sneak in. But it looks like they might have to settle for a Europa League spot. Outside of that, it's very difficult for every other team. But moving on and actually back to a bit more title talk, because we are not done yet. One of the most exciting title races is coming to its climax in Liga, and Mauricio Pochettino and PSG looking a little bit worried. After being held to a 1-1 draw against Rennes, it meant that Lille are 3 points clear with 2 games to go, and it looks like they may be winning the title. Again, exciting for absolutely everybody in Liga, apart from PSG. And my theory behind all of this is that Mauricio Pochettino, sooner rather than later, will end up back at Tottenham. Now, you're probably thinking, why, Matt? This is just fan fiction. This is just you dreaming. Let me just lay out why I think this might happen. So, Mauricio Pochettino and his backroom staff were signed by PSG in January on an 18-month deal. Now, that hardly screams complete and utter trust in the management over a long-term project, because it's not a 3-4 year deal that a lot of managers are getting when they join a new club. Mauricio Pochettino, an 18-month deal. So, 6 months later, and yes, they won the French Super Cup, and yes, they're in the French Cup final as well, but they got knocked out of the Champions League despite the fact they had 2 good away wins at Bayern Munich and Barcelona. They're knocked out in the semi-final, and that's one step worse than they managed last season. On top of this, if they lose Liga, considering the spending power and the players that they've got, it doesn't exactly look too good on Pochettino's resume. Now, maybe it's a bit harsh to assume he'd be sacked 6 months into the PSG job, but he's only got 1 year left in his contract. And if the PSG owners want to make a massive change, and if they want to do it for relatively cheap, considering he's only got 1 year left on his deal, maybe they'll pull the trigger this summer. And if they do, this leads on to the second part of my theory, and that is that Tottenham are running out of options quite fast. There have been a load of names linked to the job in North London, and whether or not these rumours are true or not, it just goes to show you that, well, a lot of them are either rejecting or moving to new clubs, and Spurs might have to start scraping the barrel. That's no disrespect to any manager they do hire at the moment, but it certainly wasn't their first, second, or even third target. So, bringing back Mauricio Pochettino, it'll be pretty good news for most of the fans. And if they're going to back any manager, they might as well back someone who they know knows the job, is well respected within the team, and, well, it just kind of seems to come full circle, especially as Mauricio Pochettino said that he one day would love to be managing Spurs again. Not quite sure it's going to happen all like that, but I just think that maybe there is a chance. Certainly, it's not 100% outside the realms of possibility. Anyway, talking of PSG, and they start our transfer roundup with some of the news that you might have missed. And Julian Draxler, whose contract is running out this summer, is close to signing a new 1 year deal with the club. So is Bruno Fernandes at Manchester United. His new deal with the Old Trafford side will double his wages and take him to on £200,000 per week. Lyon are interested in Atletico Madrid left-back Renan Lodi. And lastly, but not least, Liverpool have opened talks with Mino Raiola over his Udinese client Rodrigo de Paul. Next up then, a quick roundup of your Friday feels, where you guys left your predictions in the daily news comment section on Friday. First up, an Anugrah guessed that Chelsea would be 2-1 victors away at Manchester City. Chris17 said that PSG would drop points this weekend, and Ron correctly guessed that Lewandowski would score more than 1 goal for Bayern Munich. Lastly then, we come to this week's Emoji Mondays. This is where we at OneFootball throw a couple of emojis down over some of the weekend's hottest action, and there's quite a lot to pick from today. So, best player first off, Robert Lewandowski is the first one. Bagged a hat-trick at the weekend. Bayern Munich won their 9th title in a row. They're so dominant, and he is edging ever closer to Gerd Müller's record of goals in a single season. The record is 40. Lewandowski is now on 39 despite this injury, and he's got 2 games left to score 2 goals. If anyone can, Lewandowski can. And on top of this, the other best player of the weekend goes to Mason Greenwood. His goal at Aston Villa in Manchester United's 3-1 victory now means that he has the most amount of goals as a teenager for Manchester United, overtaking none other than Wayne Rooney. That is some esteemed company. Next up, in the crazy moment of the weekend, and there's 2, and they're 2 penalties, and I can't believe they happened. Sergio Aguero against Chelsea and Frank Kessie against Juventus. AC Milan, by the way, with a 3-0 victory, so that didn't really matter too much. But Sergio Aguero's, he missed a penalty when they had the chance to go 2-0 up, and they paid for it. What is going on? For those of you who have watched the channel for quite some time now, you'll know how I feel about these penalties. Panenka's, Kessie's sort of weird walking run-up. What is going on? Just run up to the ball, hit it as hard as you can, as far into the corner as you can, and you're giving yourself the best chance of scoring. I brought up this penalty situation a few months ago when it came to Jorginho when he missed a penalty. Yes, he does score. Yes, these players who take a weird sort of run-up often end up fooling the goalkeeper, but you're giving yourself more risk of it going wrong, and you're left with footballing egg all over your face. like Aguero, like Kessié. It makes no sense. There's just no need to reduce the chance of you scoring, and it looks like they paid for it. Anyway, aside from the crazy moment, the best result this weekend goes to Paderborn. That's right, Paderborn in the second Bundesliga, who won 8-3 this weekend. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the game. I spend my weekends watching a lot of football, but unfortunately, second Bundesliga is not on the list. Regardless, winning 8-3 is ridiculous and definitely deserves the result of the weekend. So there you have it then. That is all from me for today's daily news. Let me know your thoughts below. Check out everything else got going on. And until next time, I will see you guys later.